Hello friends, welcome back to Cosmopolitan Cornbread. So I hope you can hear me over the water, but I could not resist coming out here and filming today since we got a good bit of rain, and it's just the beautiful scenery with the water flowing and just the sound of it. I just wanted to bring you all out here today. So like I said, hopefully you'll be able to hear me all right. This is my weekly Bible reading video, and we left off with completing chapter 13 in the book of Leviticus. And the Bible that I'm reading from is the CJB Bible. Let's begin with prayer. Blessed are you, Lord our God, King of the universe, who gives the Torah of truth and the good news of salvation to your people Israel, and to all people through your Son, Yeshua the Messiah, Jesus the Christ. Amen. Chapter 14. ADONAI said to Moshe, "This is to be the law concerning the person afflicted with Zarat on the day of his purification. He is to be brought to the Cohen, and the Cohen is to go outside the camp and examine him there. If he sees that the Zarat sores have been healed in the afflicted person, then the Cohen will order that 2 living clean birds be taken for the one to be purified, along with cedar wood, scarlet yarn, and hyssop leaves. The Cohen is to order one of the birds slaughtered in a clay pot over running water. As for the live bird, he is to take it with the cedar wood, scarlet yarn, and hyssop, dip them and the living bird in the blood of the bird slaughtered over running water, and sprinkle the person to be purified from the Zarat 7 times. Next, he is to set the live bird free in an open field. He who is to be purified must wash his clothes, shave off all his hair, and bathe himself in water. Then he will be clean. And after that he may enter the camp, but he must live outside his tent for 7 days. On the 7th day he is to shave off all the hair from his head, also his beard and his eyebrows. He must shave off all his hair, and he is to wash his clothes and bathe his body in water, and he will be clean. On the 8th day he is to take 2 male lambs without defect, 1 female lamb in its first year without defect, and 6½ quarts of fine flour for a grain offering mixed with olive oil, and 2/3 of a pint of olive oil. The Cohen purifying him is to place the person being purified with these items before ADONAI at the entrance to the tent of meeting. The Cohen is to take one of the male lambs and offer it as a guilt offering with the 2/3 pint of olive oil. Then wave them as an offering before ADONAI. He is to slaughter the male lamb at the place in the sanctuary for slaughtering sin offerings and burnt offerings. Because the guilt offering belongs to the Cohen, just like the sin offering, it is especially holy. The Cohen is to take some of the blood of the guilt offering and put it on the tip of the right ear of the person being purified, on the thumb of his right hand, and on the big toe of his right foot. Next, the Cohen is to take some of the 2/3 pint of olive oil and pour it into the palm of his own left hand. Dip his right finger in the oil that is in his left hand, and sprinkle from the oil with his finger 7 times before ADONAI. Then the Cohen is to put some of the remaining olive oil in his hand on the tip of the right ear of the person being purified, on the thumb of his right hand, and on the big toe of his right foot, and on the blood of the guilt offering. Finally, the Cohen is to put the rest of the oil in his hand on the head of the person being purified, and the Cohen will make atonement for him before ADONAI. The Cohen is to offer the sin offering and make atonement for the person being purified because of his uncleanness. Afterwards, he is to slaughter the burnt offering. The Cohen is to offer the burnt offering and the grain offering on the altar. Thus the Cohen will make atonement for him, and he will be clean. If he is poor so that he cannot afford to do otherwise, he is to take 1 male lamb as a guilt offering to be waved to make atonement for him, 2 quarts of fine flour mixed with olive oil for the grain offering, 2/3 of a pint of olive oil, and 2 doves or 2 young pigeons, such as he can afford, the one for a sin offering and the other for a burnt offering. On the 8th day he will bring them to the Cohen for his purification, to the entrance of the tent of meeting before ADONAI. The Kohen is to take the lamb of the guilt offering and the 2/3 of a pint of olive oil, and wave them as a wave offering before Adonai. He is to slaughter the lamb of the guilt offering, and the Kohen is to take some of the blood of the guilt offering and put it on the tip of the right ear of the person being purified, on the thumb of his right hand, and on the big toe of his right foot. The Kohen is to take some of the olive oil poured into the palm of his own left hand, and sprinkle with his right hand some of the oil that is in his left hand 7 times before Adonai. The Kohen is to put some of the oil in his hand on the tip of the right ear of the person being purified, on the thumb of his right hand, and on the big toe of his right foot, in the same place as the blood of the guilt offering. Finally, the Kohen is to put the rest of the oil in his hand on the head of the person being purified, to make atonement for him before Adonai. He is to offer one of the doves or young pigeons, such as the person can afford, whatever his means suffice for, the one as a sin offering and the other as a burnt offering, with the grain offering. Thus, the Kohen will make atonement before Adonai for the person being purified. Such is the law for the person who has Zarat sores, if he cannot afford the usual elements used for his purification. Adonai said to Moshe and Aaron, "When you have entered the land of Canaan, which I am giving you as a possession, and I put an infection of Zarat in a house in the land that you possess, then the owner of the house is to come and tell the Kohen, 'It seems to me that there may be an infection in the house.' The Kohen is to order the house emptied before he goes in to inspect the infection, so that everything in the house won't be made unclean. Afterwards, the Kohen is to enter and inspect the house. He will examine the infection, and if he sees that the infection is in the walls of the house, with greenish or reddish depressions that seem to go in deeper than the surface of the wall, he is to go out of the house to its door and seal up the house for 7 days. The Kohen will come again on the 7th day and examine the house. If he sees that the infection has spread over its walls, he is to order them to remove the infected stones and throw them into some unclean place outside the city. Next, he is to have the inside of the house thoroughly scraped, and the scraped off plaster is to be discarded outside the city in an unclean place. Finally, other stones must be set in the place of the first stones, and other plaster used to replaster the house. If the infection returns and breaks out in the house after the stones have been removed, and the house scraped and plastered, then the Kohen is to enter and examine it. If he sees that the infection has spread in the house, it is a contagious Zarat in the house, it is unclean. He must break down the house and take its stones, timber, and plaster out of the city to an unclean place. Moreover, whoever enters the house at any time while it is sealed up will be unclean until evening. Whoever lies down or eats in the house must wash his clothes. If the Kohen enters, examines, and sees that the infection has not spread in the house since it was plastered, then he is to declare the house clean, because the infection is cured. To purify the house, he is to take 2 birds, cedar wood, scarlet yarn, and hyssop leaves. He is to slaughter one of the birds in a clay pot over running water. He is to take the cedar wood, the hyssop, the scarlet yarn, and the live bird, and dip them in the blood of the slaughtered bird and in the running water, and sprinkle the house 7 times. He will purify the house with the blood of the bird, the running water, the live bird, the cedar wood, the hyssop, and the scarlet yarn. But he is to set the live bird free outside the city in an open field. Thus he will make atonement for the house, and it will be clean. Such is the law for all kinds of Zarat sores, for a crusted area, for Zarat in a garment, for a house, for swelling, for a scab, and for a bright spot, to determine when it is clean and when it is unclean. This is the law concerning Zarat. Chapter 15. Adonai said to Moshe and Aaron, "Tell the people of Israel, when any man has a discharge from his body, the discharge is unclean. The discharge is unclean no matter whether it continues flowing or has stopped. It is still his uncleanness. Every bed which the person with the discharge lies on is unclean. Everything he sits on is unclean. Whoever touches his bed is to wash his clothes and bathe himself in water. He will be unclean until evening. Whoever sits on anything the person with the discharge sat on is to wash his clothes and bathe himself in water. He will be unclean until evening. Anyone who touches the body of the person with the discharge is to wash his clothes and bathe himself in water, and he will be unclean until evening. If the person with the discharge spits on someone who is clean, the latter is to wash his clothes and bathe himself in water, and he will be unclean until evening. Any saddle that the person with the discharge rides on will be unclean. Whoever touches anything that was under him will be unclean until evening. He who carries those things is to wash his clothes and bathe himself in water. He will be unclean until evening. If the person with the discharge fails to rinse his hands in water before touching someone, that person is to wash his clothes and bathe himself in water. He will be unclean until evening. If the person with a discharge touches a clay pot, it must be broken. If he touches a wooden utensil, it must be rinsed in water. When a person with a discharge has become free of it, he is to count 7 days for his purification. Then he is to wash his clothes and bathe his body in running water. After that he will be unclean. On the 8th day he is to take for himself 2 doves or 2 young pigeons, come before ADONAI to the entrance of the tent of meeting, and give them to the Cohen. The Cohen is to offer them. The one is a sin offering and the other as a burnt offering. Thus the Cohen will make atonement for him on account of his discharge before ADONAI. If a man has a seminal emission, he is to bathe his entire body in water. He will be unclean until evening. Any clothing or leather on which there is any semen is to be washed with water. It will be unclean until evening. If a man goes to bed with a woman and has sexual relations, both are to bathe themselves in water. They will be unclean until evening. If a woman has a discharge, and the discharge from her body is blood, she will be in her state of nida for 7 days. Whoever touches her will be unclean until evening. Everything she lies on or sits on in her state of nida will be unclean. Whoever touches her bed is to wash his clothes and bathe himself in water. He will be unclean until evening. Whoever touches anything she sits on is to wash his clothes and bathe himself in water, and he will be unclean until evening. As soon as he touches the bed or something she sat on, he will be unclean until evening. If a man goes to bed with her and her menstrual flow touches him, he will be unclean 7 days, and every bed he lies on will be unclean. If a woman has a discharge of blood for many days, not during her period, or if her discharge lasts beyond the normal end of her period, then throughout the time she is having an unclean discharge, she will be as when she is in nida. She is unclean. Every bed she lies on at any time while she is having her discharge will be for her like the bed she uses during her time of nida, and everything she sits on will be unclean, with uncleanness like that of her time of nida. Whoever touches those things will be unclean. He is to wash his clothes and bathe himself in water, and he will be unclean until evening. If she has become free of her discharge, she is to count 7 days. After that she will be clean. On the 8th day she is to take for herself 2 doves or 2 young pigeons, and bring them to the Cohen at the entrance to the tent of meeting. The Cohen is to offer the one as a sin offering and the other as a burnt offering. Thus the Cohen will make atonement for her before ADONAI on account of her unclean discharge. In this way you will separate the people of Israel from their uncleanness, so that they will not die in a state of uncleanness for defiling my tabernacle, which is there with them. Such is the law for the person who has a discharge, for the man who has a seminal emission that makes him unclean, for the woman in nida during her menstrual period, for the person, man or woman with a discharge, and for the man who has sexual relations with a woman who is unclean. Chapter 16. ADONAI spoke with Moshe after the death of Aaron's 2 sons, when they tried to sacrifice before ADONAI and died. ADONAI said to Moshe, "Tell your brother Aaron not to come at any time into the holy place, beyond the curtain in front of the ark cover which is on the ark, so that he will not die, because I appear in the cloud over the ark cover. Here is how Aaron is to enter the holy place, with a young bull as a sin offering and a ram as a burnt offering. He is to put on the holy linen tunic, have the linen shorts next to his bare flesh, have the linen sash wrapped around him, and be wearing the linen turban. They are the holy garments. He is to bathe his body in water and put them on. He is to take from the community of the people of Israel 2 male goats for a sin offering, and 1 ram for a burnt offering. Aaron is to present the bull for the sin offering, which is for himself, and make atonement for himself and his household. He is to take the 2 goats and place them before Adonai at the entrance to the tent of meeting. Then Aaron is to cast lots for the 2 goats, 1 lot for Adonai and the other for Azazel. Aaron is to present the goat whose lot fell to Adonai and offer it as a sin offering. But the goat whose lot fell to Azazel is to be presented alive to Adonai and to be used for making atonement over it by sending it away into the desert for Azazel. Aaron is to present the bull of the sin offering for himself. He will make atonement for himself and his household. He is to slaughter the bull of the sin offering, which is for himself. He is to take a censer full of burning coals from the altar before Adonai, and with his hands full of ground, fragrant incense, bring it inside the curtain. He is to put the incense on the fire before Adonai, so that the cloud from the incense will cover the ark cover, which is over the testimony, in order that he will not die. He is to take some of the bull's blood and sprinkle it with his finger on the ark cover toward the east, and in front of the ark cover he is to sprinkle some of the blood with his finger 7 times. Next, he is to slaughter the goat of the sin offering, which is for the people. Bring its blood inside the curtain, and do with its blood as he did with the bull's blood, sprinkling it on the ark cover and in front of the ark cover. He will make atonement for the holy place because of the uncleanness of the people of Israel, and because of their transgressions, all their sins. And he is to do the same for the tent of meeting, which is there with them, right in the middle of their uncleanness. No one is to be present in the tent of meeting from the time he enters the holy place to make atonement until the time he comes out, having made atonement for himself, for his household, and for the entire community of Israel. Then he is to go out to the altar that is before Adonai and make atonement for it. He is to take some of the bull's blood and some of the goat's blood and put it on all the horns of the altar. He is to sprinkle some of the blood on it with his finger 7 times, thus purifying it and setting it apart from the uncleanness of the people of Israel. When he is finished atoning for the holy place, the tent of meeting, and the altar, he is to present the live goat. Aaron is to lay both his hands on the head of the live goat and confess over it all the transgressions, crimes, and sins of the people of Israel. He is to put them on the head of the goat and then send it away into the desert with a man appointed for the purpose. The goat will bear all the transgressions away to some isolated place, and he is to let the goat go in the desert. Aaron is to go back into the tent of meeting, where he is to remove the linen garments he put on when he entered the holy place, and he is to leave them there. Then he is to bathe his body in water in a holy place, put on his other clothes, come out and offer his burnt offering and the burnt offering of the people, thus making atonement for himself and for the people. He is to make the fat of the sin offering go up in smoke on the altar. The man who let the goat go for Azazel is to wash his clothes and bathe his body in water. Afterwards he may return to the camp. The bull for the sin offering and the goat for the sin offering, whose blood was brought in to make atonement in the holy place, is to be carried outside the camp. There they are to burn up completely their hides, meat, and dung. The person burning them is to wash his clothes and bathe his body in water. Chapter 17. Adonai said to Moshe, "Speak to Aaron and his sons, and to all the people of Israel. Tell them that this is what Adonai has ordered. When someone from the community of Israel slaughters an ox, lamb, or goat inside or outside the camp, without bringing it to the entrance to the tent of meeting to present it as an offering to Adonai, before the tabernacle of Adonai, he is to be charged with blood. He has shed blood, and that person is to be cut off from his people. The reason for this is so that the people of Israel will bring their sacrifices that they sacrifice out in the field, so that they will bring them to Adonai, to the entrance of the tent of meeting, to the Cohen, and to sacrifice them as peace offerings to Adonai. The Cohen will splash the blood against the altar of Adonai at the entrance to the tent of meeting, and make the fat go up in smoke as a pleasing aroma for Adonai. No longer will they offer sacrifices to the goat demons, before whom they prostitute themselves. This is a permanent regulation for them throughout all their generations. Also tell them, when someone from the community of Israel or one of the foreigners living with you offers a burnt offering or sacrifice without bringing it to the entrance to the tent of meeting to sacrifice it to Adonai, that person is to be cut off from his people. When someone from the community of Israel or one of the foreigners living with you eats any kind of blood, I will set myself against that person who eats blood and cut him off from his people. For the life of a creature is in the blood, and I have given to you on the altar to make atonement for yourselves. For it is the blood that makes atonement because of the life. This is why I told the people of Israel, none of you is to eat blood, nor is any foreigner living with you to eat blood. When someone from the community of Israel or one of the foreigners living with you hunts and catches game, whether animal or bird that may be eaten, he is to pour out its blood and cover it with earth. For the life of every creature, its blood is its life. Therefore I said to the people of Israel, you are not to eat the blood of any creature, because the life of every creature is in its blood. Whoever eats it will be cut off. Anyone eating an animal that dies naturally or is torn to death by wild animals, whether he is a citizen or a foreigner, is to wash his clothes and bathe himself in water. He will be unclean until evening, and then he will be clean. But if he doesn't wash them or bathe his body, he will bear the consequences of his wrongdoing. Chapter 18. ADONAI said to Moshe, speak to the people of Israel. Tell them, I am ADONAI your God. You are not to engage in the activities found in the land of Egypt, where you used to live. And you are not to engage in the activities found in the land of Canaan, where I am bringing you. Nor are you to live by their laws. You are to obey my rulings and laws and live accordingly. I am ADONAI your God. You are to observe my laws and rulings. If a person does them, he will have life through them. I am ADONAI. None of you is to approach anyone who is a close relative in order to have sexual relations. I am ADONAI. You are not to have sexual relations with your father, and not to have sexual relations with your mother. She is your mother. Do not have sexual relations with her. You are not to have sexual relations with your father's wife. That is your father's prerogative. You are not to have sexual relations with your sister, the daughter of your father, or the daughter of your mother, whether born at home or elsewhere. Do not have sexual relations with them. You are not to have sexual relations with your son's daughter or with your daughter's daughter. Do not have sexual relations with them, because their sexual disgrace will be your own. You are not to have sexual relations with your father's wife's daughter, born to your father, because she is your sister. Do not have sexual relations with her. You are not to have sexual relations with your father's sister, because she's your father's close relative. You are not to have sexual relations with your mother's sister, because she's your mother's close relative. And you are not to disgrace your father's brother by having sexual relations with his wife, because she is your aunt. You are not to have sexual relations with your daughter-in-law, because she's your son's wife. Do not have sexual relations with her. You are not to have sexual relations with your brother's wife, because this is your brother's prerogative. You are not to have sexual relations with both a woman and her daughter, nor are you to have sexual relations with her son's daughter or her daughter's daughter. They are close relatives of her, and this would be shameful. You are not to take a woman to be a rival with her sister and have sexual relations with her while her sister is still alive. You are not to approach a woman in order to have sexual relations with her when she is unclean from her time of Nidah. You are not to go to bed with your neighbor's wife and thus become unclean with her. You are not to let any of your children be sacrificed to Moloch, thereby profaning the name of your God. I am ADONAI. You are not to go to bed with a man as with a woman. It is an abomination. You are not to have sexual relations with any kind of animal and thus become unclean with it. Nor is any woman to present herself to an animal to have sexual relations with it. It is perversion. Do not make yourselves unclean by any of these things, because all the nations which I am expelling ahead of you are defiled with them. The land has become unclean, and this is why I am punishing it. The land itself will vomit out its inhabitants. But you are to keep my laws and rulings, and not engage in any of these disgusting practices, neither the citizen nor the foreigner living with you. For the people of the land have committed all these abominations, and the land is now defiled. If you make the land unclean, it will vomit you out too, just as it is vomiting out the nation that was there before you. For those who engage in any of these disgusting practices, whoever they may be, will be cut off from their people. So keep my charge not to follow any of these abominable customs that others before you have followed, and thus defile yourselves by doing them. I am ADONAI, your God. All right. That is the reading for this week. Every week I do a Friday Bible reading like this. We started back in Genesis 1:1, and Lord willing, we will eventually have the entire Bible on video. You can also join me Saturday mornings for a live Coffee and Scriptures, where we have Bible discussion, prayer, and fellowship. And be sure to check out my new website, walkingintorah.com, where you can find a growing library of Bible study articles and resources. With that, may the Father bless you and keep you. May He make His face shine upon you and give you peace. In the name of the Prince of all Peace, Yeshua HaMashiach. God bless, and I'll talk to y'all next time.